Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for another Journaling on a Budget memory lane. So we're going to quick finish up the pressing board that we did last week. I went through and I chose the things that I wanted to do. We had decided to put these tickets up here, but they were so thin, so I put them on a piece of cardstock paper that I had a scrap of, and I thought that way it would look nice instead of just using white cardstock. It would look nice because you're going to see it from the other side because they're going to stick up a bit. So, and then I went through and I chose some of our, we've got the woods in our map and, the toy store and the lake and the farm and the circus and just the butterfly because it's pretty. I did glue down all of the flowers. I liked putting the little flowers in the middle of them, and then I put little sticky back crystals. Whenever I use those sticky back crystals, even though they're sticky on the back, I always put some glue on them. So the one thing to remember is if you've got from quite a while ago, before they came out with the sticky back ones, if you've got a bunch of flat back pearls and flat back crystals and you've got them kind of set aside because they're not sticky back, really, they don't stick for a really long time. You're going to put them on a card, great. You're going to put them on something that you're going to use a lot, you really should put a little glue on the back. So use the ones that don't have sticky on the back because you're going to put glue on the back of these too. So, and the reason I say that is because I have a bunch of those that are not sticky on the back. My ones that are sticky on the back, and these came from the Dollar Tree, but they're kind of put in a little stand where I just kind of flip through and grab them out. And my other ones are in little containers, and they're in a different place. But it was like, I need to start using those because as I was gluing these down, and I glued them with the gel super glue that we get from the Dollar Tree. This works really great. I use this instead of E6000. And it works really well. So, but yeah, so remember that if you've got all of those other little bits, go ahead and use them and just glue them on like we used to. So, because sometimes I think we forget about all the different things that we have in our stash. I do. And, that's because I do have a lot of things, because I have been collecting since I couldn't even tell you how long. I have things from when I was a young girl, and I'm talking like 8 or 9 young girl. So yeah, and I'm using a permanent stick glue for these. I probably should use a little bit of, I'll even use a little of this. The ones that are really flat don't really matter, but these are going to stick up over the edge, so I really shouldn't just use stick glue. So I'll put a little bit of the super glue on there, and because I do want that to stick up over the edge. Give it a press. I'm still gonna put a little stick glue on this since I've got the stick glue out, and a little bit of the permanent glue, and put those on there like that. Don't really want them quite touching the flowers, so just bring them in a little bit, and there. I do like the way that looks. We'll flip it over and see what it looks like on the other side after we glue down these other little bits here. And I don't have something. Originally, I pulled out kind of something from every different thing on our map. And when I started looking at putting them down on there, it was like, I like my background, I like the puzzle pieces, I like the map pieces, and I didn't really want to cover them up completely. And had I tried to pull out, put on all the stuff I'd already pulled out, it would have covered it completely. So I kind of like, it took me a while to figure out where I wanted them to go and which ones I wanted to use. I had other, I pulled out a lot of stuff, and then, I kind of ripped to size certain ones that I thought I wanted to use and just kept trying them until, just trial and error, until I thought I really kind of like that layout. I'm going to stick this one over the edge. That one really wasn't supposed to be over the edge, but I wound up putting it over the edge, so I'll trim the edge of that too. This one will have a straight cut on it when I cut it out. And I thought about ripping the elephants because everything else was, but then I really liked them the way that they were. And so I left them. And it's all about just doing whatever you think looks good, whatever you like the looks of, because 90% of the time, you know, your first instinct is going to be right. You know, if you think, I really don't like that, you're probably not going to like it later. And, you know, if you put it down there and think, oh, I love that, but, oh, maybe it's just not right, it probably is right. So, and you're not always going to love everything. You know, you may just, oh, I like that, you know. So it's not one of those things where you have to keep trying until you just absolutely fall in love with everything. You just have to make sure that you do like the way that it looks. And then you won't have to take it apart later, which is a downfall of doing mixed media or abstract art or whatever you want to call it, is sometimes you'll like something one minute and you won't like it the next. So, and there's, you know, because there's no rules, you can't tell yourself, well, you have to do it this way, because that's the rules. Because there are no rules. There are suggestions, like when you're doing a collage, to kind of make it so that the eye kind of goes around the paper. And a lot of people do that in different ways. And so there we go. Those are all on there where I want them. They're all glued down. So we can trim the back. There we go. So this is what the back looks like. And so we've got the back of our tickets there. And so see, they still look pretty since I did put a colored paper on there. I decided to put one flower right up there in the corner. And this is our writing space. So we don't want anything else on there. We wanted to keep that nice and smooth, and it is. And so that, and you can edge the edges of it if you want to. I really kind of like the way it looks here. Although I need to trim it right down here. It's sticking out. And I do like to take things off the page sometimes, even with this one. Now it does not have a square corner like there. It kind of blends it into the project sometimes when you just put it on there and then you cut off the edge. I don't know why. That's kind of the way that I feel about it. So that is our pressing board. And so when it's in your book, it will look like this. And of course, then we'll have our ties will come right across here. So we'll have ties there, and none of this will be sticking out. So the top will look like that. And then we've got our corner, and we've got our side, and then we'll have our bow and strings hanging down here, and we'll also have our dangle hanging on the back side. So the outside of our journal now is pretty much done, and I think looks really good. And again, these are here while we're working, but they won't be there in the end. Now, someone did ask me, what about if you stick it in a page that's facing the other way? So let's find some, just want to find some plain pages so it's easier to look at. Okay, we'll go right here. Okay, so if I want to write on this page, I'm going to take this, but we don't want to write on this side, because even though I didn't make this super bumpy, it is bumpy where all of these bits are glued on. And so if you were to draw lines, or even as you were writing, you would kind of catch that. You want the nice smooth side. So works great if you're writing over here and none of that gets in the way, and we've got this nice smooth writing surface. But if we try and put it in here, it doesn't work so good. But yes, it does, because all you do is just, whoops, don't turn over that way. You just flip it over this way. And then you use that as a writing surface and you have that nice smooth area, and all of these are sticking out over here where they are not in the way. So that is how you do it. You either use it this way, like that, or if you want to do it on a page on the other side, you just flip it over. It's flip it upside down basically, and use it this way. So, and remember, you want your smooth writing surface up. So you don't want to take it from this and flip it over like this, because then what's going to happen is, yes, your pretty stuff is right there, but what's going to happen is you're going to have these little bumpy areas in here that you don't want to have. And especially because you can make this a little bit, even though it's a writing surface, you could maybe take a flower and put it here. I wouldn't put one of the heavy gems on there, because then even as you're doing this, it might make a difference. I usually don't put anything real heavy in the middle, but you know, you could have things that are even bumpier than what we have, maybe a thicker piece of paper or cardboard or something. So I love the way that this turned out, and I really do like the way that it looks in our book. So that is finishing up last week's project. So we'll go on to this week's project, which this week I wanted to do this layout, or at least part of it. This is the candy store, and we had the popcorn bag that we had cut. We cut out the back part of the popcorn bag, and we kept this section here. We left the little flaps on it so that we could glue it down, and that would give us a pocket that will open up like this, because this will be glued down and we'll have an actual area here that we can open up. We're going to glue it straight across the bottom. That's going to go there. And our popcorn tags, which I couldn't remember where they went, obviously they go in the candy store in the popcorn bag. So that I got out to put there. Then I had this side to do, and this doesn't look bad. This is a stencil, came through from the other side, but I thought, well, I kind of wanted to cover it up, and I liked this. I thought it looked kind of like gumdrops or candies or something, and so I thought that would look good right there. You can still see through it a little bit, but not really that much, and it draws your eye to this instead of this. And like I said, that really doesn't look bad, but so I liked that, but it wasn't big enough. I didn't have a piece that was big enough, so I made another one. And I used this, this is just a homemade stamp. It's just round. And I used Distress inks in a bunch of different colors. And so I just stamped it on a paper. And then all I did was I just messily, just 2 times went around each one of those circles. Just like that. Oops, this side, I guess. And just went around them all twice. And then after I did that, then I just put, it's almost like a heart, except you don't have a point at the bottom. I would just start here and kind of do 2 little loops at the, or bumps at the top, and then come down and meet up there. So it looks like little wrapped candies. And so I thought that that would look good there. And then I wasn't sure if I wanted to put that on that side, or if I wanted to put it on this side and put this over here. But I really like this. I really like it with the orange paper. So that is going to go there. And we have the little matchbook that has the candy corn on it and has the little bits of paper that can be used in collage for whoever gets the book. So that's here. And we have the little Your Perfect Valentine little card that can be used as a journaling card that we had for this section. So then I have to decide exactly what do I want to do with the bag. Do I want to center it? Or do I want to, you know, put it to one side or the other? And I really just like it centered. Maybe a little bit of stenciling around there or stamping, but this definitely, I really liked it on the light green. So I'm going to put that there, And then I thought that I would use this either as a bottom pocket or a side pocket. So let's just go ahead and get this one glued down. And again, because we're nice and flat, I'm going to take my candy store tab off of there. I don't think it has to be there anymore, so I'm going to do the whole center. And then go around and also do the edges. Let's use our pressing board. Oh, that's actually much, much better. And again, because it's tissue paper and it's on a very flat surface, I have no problem using the stick glue. There are lots of things I do not like to use stick glue for. But things that are flat and paper to paper, I think that a permanent stick glue works really well. I'm going to get right down in that edge there. And this will get on your pressing board if you don't put something under your pressing board, just like anything else. But that doesn't bother me because it's stick glue and it will dry. So there's that. Now we're going to take our candy. Because I wrote candy on each of those pieces, I need to make sure that I put it the right way up. I don't know which way I want to put this, though. I think I'm going to put it like that. Very close to the edge over here. And then just make sure that you, well, I guess it really doesn't matter if it wrinkles, does it? Gives it a little more interest. I want to try and have it not be too wrinkled. Put that pressing board right back in there so that I can really use it. See, and this is where that pressing board comes in really handy, because I do want this to be pretty flat. And there we go. There, I really like how that looks. And then because I still can kind of see this here, plus I just really like sometimes the side tucks, I really think I want to do this one as a side tuck. And then we'll see more of that candy in the background. And I did not color the tissue paper because you can see the color of the page underneath of it. So I thought that that was pretty nice. Why am I doing that? I'm still going to need that there. All right, so I am going to grab a trimmer. Just because I don't cut straight. And then I wonder how deep do I want the pocket? Maybe, yeah, I think right about there. So that means I want to cut it right about there and there. So I'll cut it this way first. Find my fold. Then cut right there. It's 2 3/4. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think I like the way that that looks, and I think I'm going to round the corners. I need to trim off just sticking a little bit to the, just a little bit of wet stick glue there. I'm going to trim off just a touch because it's a little bit long by the looks of it. And then I'm going to see if I can find my corner rounder, which is usually right here. Well, I I don't know where I put it. I have piles and piles. There it is. It was just under a box. I think I'll even make it the biggest corner. Make it even more obvious. Okay, I trimmed it down a little bit. It's a little shorter than the page, so I'm just going to center just a little bit at the top and the bottom. I do think it should be edged. So, I think I'm going to do it in the green. Excuse me. But I really want it to be quite light. So I'm going to get some of the green and then take some of it off, because this is a really dark green when you first put it on your sponge. And I don't want it to be that dark, so I'm just going to use it really thinly, basically like thinning down paint. You can kind of see how dark it is there. I just really did not want it to be that dark. Don't need much at the bottom because it's going to be kind of in the fold there, but just a little bit. And then later on, if I have some candy stamps, which I'll have to see if maybe I do, maybe I could stamp on there. And so I'm going to use wet glue because it's a pocket. So I'm going to use the Beacons foam and poster board glue. And hopefully there's some in here because it looks like it is almost empty. Hopefully there's enough. Because I think right now it's the only wet glue I have here. Let me see. Oh, here's some tacky glue if this won't come out. I really do like this glue though. Okay, so I want to do the edge. Because I cut the corners on it, I know which side is the bottom because it's straight. And you don't have to overdo with the wet glue. Once it dries, it will hold really well. There we go. Just going to line it right up here. And there we go. And again, nice to have that pressing board in there. Okay. So then we can stick the candy corn in there, and we can stick our little tag in there. Maybe a couple more journaling cards in there. I kind of puckered that up when I put it down. There we go. So we want to put this one on here. And again, this one is just a bag that we kept this part of the folded flap on there so that we would have a pocket that would open up wider. I'm going to hopefully have enough of this glue. So we're just going to put it on the back of this flap. And the back of this flap. And this glue, along with like your Fabri-Tac, leaves glue strings, kind of like hot glue does. The only thing is that being that this is wet glue, those strings are still wet and they will. And now we're going to go with just the bottom of this flap. We're going to come underneath here, go all the way across the bottom, and we're going to actually come out here also, all the way across the bottom. Put that where we want that one. And because underneath here it is very flat, we don't need the pressing board. I want to make sure that those glued areas are pressed down really well. Because it was glued on that underside fold, we need to kind of lift up this little bit here and press it down underneath, and then make sure you press down all across the bottom and those two corners. And so now, oops, things falling everywhere because we got stuff just tucked in here. So now we have like this, but see, this pocket is going to open up that far because we glued down those back flaps, so it gives us this V shape. It gives us that much room at the top. At the bottom, it will be flat right against the bottom because of the way that we put it in there, which is, that works out really well. So there we go. So now we have a pocket there. We've got our candy on there. So remember that you don't have to have fancy stamps from the store. You know, you don't have to have anything fancy at all. This is just a recycle thing that's sticky on one side, and then it's like foam. But you can take fun foam. If you have a punch, you can punch it. If you don't have a punch, you can hand cut it. Just fun foam on a piece of cardboard. Glue it to a piece of cardboard. That works really well, and you can make them any size that you want to. So, yeah, just remember, you can make your own stamps, and especially if you're missing something. And a lot of times, when I would go looking for a stamp, and I would find a stamp that I liked, it would come with a whole bunch of other stamps that I thought, I'll never use those. So some things I can't do. I can't do fancy, intricate little designs. But if I wanted a candy stamp, and it came with a candy cane and a little girl and a little boy and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't use anything but the candy stamp. So why not make my own? Because it is simple enough to do. So I think that that looks good and that we definitely need something here, but I'm not sure what. Yeah, I just don't know. I had done these. I do have a couple of stamps to make some tags. I have a little gingerbread man. These are Stampers Anonymous. This one is the Tim Holtz collection, so is this. And I got these on clearance at a recycle store, so I didn't pay full price for these either. So, even though I have them, it's definitely not something that I paid big bucks for, because you never know when you pay full price for something, how often are you going to use it? And I think that's a big thing. If you make the same thing over and over and over and over, and there's something that you can buy that will make it easier for you, and you know that what you're doing, you're going to do over and over, then it may be worth going and saying, I need this, or I need this. But if it's something that you're not sure exactly how many of them you're going to make, you know, like, why would I go buy this stamp to make this journal that's going to have one journaling card? Is it going to look cute in there? Yeah, probably is. I'm going to use this. And I'm going to stamp it on the front. Maybe not. Maybe I'm going to stamp him because I like him better. All right, so I'm going to set those there. I'm going to set those there because we used wet glue. When you use wet glue, you don't want to stick stuff into your pockets until you know that glue is dry, or it could get glued right to the bottom of the pocket and it's never coming out. So we know these are going in here, but I'm not putting them in the pockets until the pockets are dry. But we will make a stamp out of this guy because he's pretty cute. And I think we'll do him in black because he'll show up so well. And this is just regular paper. It's a nice weight paper, but it's not cardstock at all. And sometimes I tend to think that I need to use cardstock for all of my tags and writing papers. So when I write a letter, I surely don't write it on cardstock. I write it on a piece of paper. So, you know, when I write in my journal, a piece of paper should be just fine. Just want to line this up. Hopefully straight. Because if you do all cardstock tags, that's going to make your journal really, really fat. And, you know, some things I may want to be real heavy. Like I wanted the tickets to be heavier than paper here because they're sticking up over the edge. And a regular piece of paper would really get tattered. That should help a lot for that to not get tattered. But, oh, look, he's cute. And he may be a touch off a little bit, but that's all right. You know, I really like, this is where it ripped out of the book. You're supposed to cut that off. But I really like the way that looks. I'm trying to think, do I want to make it into a tag? But I'm not a big fan of tags. So I think I'm going to just round the corners. And I found it. And I'm going to use the big one because then it will match the pocket it's going to go in. There. Oh, I think he's really, really cute. Maybe he might even need a saying up here. So, you know, that is something that we'll have to think about. Not really sure. Don't want that to be super dark, but I do want to edge it a bit. And, you know, it becomes a real habit to put the ink on your sponge, go just a little ways, put more ink on your sponge, and go a little ways. It's really just kind of wasting ink because the amount of ink that you put on your sponge should go pretty far, not just 2 or 3, you know, little swipes like that. So, and I do that all the time. So there we go. That looks cute. I like it. Now, look, he came through on the back. So what does that mean? It means that I really need to put something on the back to cover that up. And lined paper, I think, would work really good. If I have some. And I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't have any right here. So what I will do with him is I'm going to just put lined paper on the back of him. Again, thinner than cardstock, and that will work really well. So it'll be nice because it will have lines on it. I was going to stamp lines on the back, but since I have to put paper on the back anyways, why not put lined paper? So I will line him, and he's going to go in here with the rest. And then the way that I just like to do my journals is, you know, the things that I get done, but I don't force myself to finish a page because there's a lot of times, I think that I want to put, do I have some yellow? I thought I pulled out, I did. Oh, but maybe I do want orange. The orange might make it look nicer with this. I was going to put yellow around the edge, and I don't have any yellow distress ink, so I was just going to use, I have some yellow chalk ink. So, but I think I will use this one, and again, I will just tap off. And I think that that one is, I was thinking that it was getting a little dry, but no, it's not. And instead of just doing the edge, because right here on the corner, I kind of got over the corner, so I'm going to just make these kind of messy edged. So as you edge, you can just kind of come up there a bit. And it just kind of hides the fact that I did that. Now, I also could just put that on the bottom, tuck it in the bottom, you know, because it's not ruined. It's not, you know, a bad thing. So if I wanted to make the whole thing just straight edges, I could have done the rest that way. But I do kind of like the messy edges sometimes because, I don't know, it gives it a little bit more interest, especially since this is a little plain with that, you know, the popcorn is, it's cool and looks like popcorn, but it kind of was blending a lot with the yellow. So that orange really helped it to, see, look at the two next to each other. See, it made this popcorn stand out a little bit more, and especially by doing the messy edge and bringing it in a little bit. And I really have a lot of ink on this one. Kind of go around the edges and then go back and hit the flat parts a little bit. Just bringing it up there a little bit. And I think I need a little bit darker there. And because the other one I wound up doing a partly dark, I'm just going to do just the edges darker. There. So that the edges look darker, about the same color. So there we go. So now we've got those to go in here like that, and we have our little journaling card to go in here, and we have our candy corn to go in there, and we've got our little, I think maybe this one, actually, I think he looks really cute right there. So I think that we will just do that. I think that we will put that one in there, or right on their slot. I was thinking maybe, do we want to do a, like a paper clip with him? But we've got two big pockets here. I don't know that we need a paper clip on that page. So, and then he looked really cute right there. Oh, I like him at the top. And that looks cute. I like that. And so we definitely need a little more, we need some kind of a decorative accent here. And maybe something here. I'll have to look and see if I have like something like sugar is sweet or something might be nice right there. So, and that one could go that way too even. If I did that, then I think I would want that one on top and that one on the bottom because he's bigger. if I was going to do sideways. But there we go. I'm not going to leave those in there because I don't want to glue them in. But I think that page turned out cute. I love the way the pressing board turned out. And again, looks really nice. And we've got a nice flat surface. And it looks nice sticking out the edge of our book. So thank you very much for stopping by today. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.